Always not on time. At least I'm consistent. Get away with it when you pointing out there is no such thing, or it's only an appearance. My apologies. So time is real and unreal. Everything is real and unreal. But you think when you feel like an individual that there is a real thing called time and space in which you are moving. So that's the way it feels. It feels absolutely real. There's life and there's me with my life. And that's a lived reality for an individual. A linear causal kind of movement into the future, and a real sense then that there's a past behind you, where things happened, things really happened. It's like a country, almost a country, the past, and it feels absolutely real. And then we kind of gloss over a little bit the present, because it's like it's real. It's Emperor's New Clothes. Like let's play this game where there's this thing called the present, but let's not talk about too much when it starts or when it finishes or where the boundary is, because there clearly isn't one. But that's the agreed on kind of reality, that there is a present, and that you can be present, You can be in the now. You can, there's so many communications that use time as a kind of a gateway to what you may be looking for, and it's quite seductive. It really feels like there's something to it. So there's there's a suggestion that there's just infinity and eternity, oneness, um, and this is how you can access that, um, by meditating for an hour in the morning or an hour in the evening, residing in the present. So let's reside and, create a stillness and reside in that stillness and just be the watcher, watch the thoughts or whatever, all these different kinds of ideas and methods and um, ways in which we are told that we can access something greater than ourselves, and it can even feel like we are accessing it. You can feel like, there's a I felt really present, and I feel calmer, and I feel my thoughts um are less racy, and I feel more grounded or whatever, and that's fine. That's just what appears to happen. Um, so this suggestion then is different than on all of these prescriptive communications, which speak to you and tell you how to find oneness. And it's from nothing, and it's a simple suggestion that all there is already is wholeness. That's all there is already. And it illuminates the utter futility of using time to find something infinite, because the use of time can only just be in time and just reinforce that there is somebody who can do something to get somewhere. There is nowhere to get to, and there's no one to get there. There's just energy, just aliveness, nothing being everything. Whatever words, they're just words, but they're pointing to something that's not expressible or knowable. So time is, you could say time is real and unreal. Um, it's uh, it's real in the sense that there was a meeting at 9 o'clock, and Kenneth was tardy yet again. Um, so it's a function in the story, and but it has no. Uh, that's all it is. It doesn't have any independent reality, but the individual feels it does, because the individual feels they are real. They don't feel like a story, as is being suggested here. The individual experiences itself as moving in time and space, and there being life and there being me with my life, and that is the way it feels. It's continually, that reality is continually reinforced, and this is just simply an illumination, a suggestion. There's nothing being asked, there's nothing required. There's a simple suggestion that may resonate, and that resonance is that sense, that energetic sense of feeling like a separate individual can fall away, apparently fall away, and it would be seen that it was never actually real. It was always a story, that there was always just the mystery, the the unknowable unfolding of what appears to be unconditional love. So let's see what comes up this morning. Apparently you can, there's a question, it's there to be asked. Can't go right or wrong. Oh, Tobias, hiya.
Hiya, good morning. So, is it only from the me or the contraction that something needs to happen?
Yeah, exactly. It's the feeling like an individual is a sense that something is missing, and then something needs to happen for there to be oneness or wholeness.
Yeah,
This is already what's yearned for. So whatever is appearing to happen is already it. Speaking, sitting, but the
yeah,
person, because the individual feels this isn't, it doesn't feel that, it feels as something, this isn't it.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, my sound's gone a bit down, sorry about that. Yeah, so that's it really. The sense, it's the person that feels that something needs to happen. So that thing that is that can happen, it's going to be like around whatever is yearned for, it's around the corner.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
and I would even say it also feels like empowered in a way when where there were some moments like there wasn't a me or something. I don't know how to say that, but then it looks like so there is a difference. So
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's what would be that was also what would be happening then.
Yeah, yeah,
A sense that, so do you mean that a sense that it's like, oh, okay, so it's not around the next corner, it's just what's appearing now, that would be seen, is that what you're saying?
I don't know. No, it's like uh, there, it looks like there were some moments that there was like it was not personal at all, and yeah, that felt very different than
Yeah,
this contraction. Yeah,
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 yeah, and then people have them all the time.
I guess
there's a
so.
yeah, it's just that there's just what's appearing to happen, and
Yeah,
then sometimes there is that for everyone every day really, but what it is that there's no recognition of it for some, and other times there's a huge recognition. Oh, what was that? Like it was the same, but it was different. what was
exactly.
what was
Yeah,
that? And then,
yeah,
but often people just don't actually feel there, or their that sense of being separate isn't there, but then they suddenly they feel there, but there's no real recognition of when they didn't feel there often. So it's not like feeling separate isn't this just constant thing. It
no,
kind of, it
exactly.
appears to kind of come
Yeah,
and go anyway, but for the most of the time, for people there's not really a recognition that they didn't feel there.
yeah,
And then for
yeah.
others, then there's that what would be called, say, a glimpse or an awakening, it doesn't really matter, where it's like, oh, what was that?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it only matters for the person. It makes a story out of it. Like,
Oh
yeah, that
yeah,
was
no,
important.
there's, yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and I want to go back there, like that, and
Oh
like it
yeah,
was an
yeah.
experience.
Oh, completely, absolutely, yeah. So, the glimpse, or the awakening, or whatever, isn't doesn't mean anything, or is of no significance really, but it could feel of more. It could feel more significant than anything else.
Yeah,
It could
exactly.
feel it
Yeah,
could feel like such, because it stands in such contrast to the me kind of moving in that linear way and seeing life as being real in that subject object reality. It's so different yet so intimate and familiar that it can just take over everything. And then it's held, then for the individual it's held as an experience.
exactly. Yeah,
And the difficulty with that then is it's not an experience that's yearned for. So it's all like an objectivization of something. They've held on to an object which isn't actually what they're yearning for. It's an experience, as you say, that they would try to, the logical thing would be to try to replicate again, or to try and make happen again.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. Or else
it feels really dumb, like I'm trying to
yeah.
Yeah, and but it also feels like the contraction is really, I would say, narrow, and really like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
very much.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's that's why the word contraction is such a nice word to describe it. It is a sense of energetically being a tightness, in, and which kind of seems to hold this sense of separateness and maintain it from a world that's outside of it then. And so that lived reality is of me then looking out on the world, and
yeah,
it's an agitation too. Like there's, with that contraction, is there's an agitation in it.
yeah. You could say so.
However subtle that is, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's different then for everybody who, but out of that comes a yearning, and then the yearning is for something. They feel it's for something because something is missing, and actually, incredibly, it's for no thing, and no thing is already, this is already nothing being everything.
well, that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Kenneth.
Hi. Oh, Dario. Hi.
I would like to ask a question. Some people talk about this, and it seems like they're always changing their way how they talk about it, and then there are other people who kind of talk in the same ways. Do you have a idea about that?
No, I've not. I don't really comment on speakers or anything. When it comes to speakers, the only interest I have is making a differentiation from those who speak to somebody and tell them that there is a thing, this is wholeness, but then they tell them how to find wholeness, or how they can find wholeness, either subtly, by not obviously giving any prescription, or much more in a much more prescriptive way. If they do this and this, then they'll get that, or whatever. And that's the only interest I have in differentiating the two communications. That's all, because there's so many people who say so many things that it's up to people everyone can figure it out themselves, I think. And there's not really that many really clear, uncompromising communications. There's not really that many. Mostly you're being spoken to and offered something. And that's really the difference, is when you're not being spoken to or acknowledged, seen as an individual, and it's a clear communication from nobody, not from anybody who knows anything. There's a real energetic boundlessness to the communication, which is very different to when you are spoken to from somebody. Energetically, it's different.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Kenneth, Katrina.
Hi, Katrina. Yeah.
Hi. I can't see you on the screen. I mean, it's again stuck on Dario, on the previous speaker.
I wonder why that keeps happening.
It only happened this once.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to remove my pin and pin again. Some sort of glitch there, because that used to never happen to me. Okay, there we go.
Okay. I am under attack by the mind.
Oh, you poor thing.
Okay, there was this, decision maybe. I cannot understand anything of what it is not to be a me, so I give up. I don't try to understand and figure out how and what. And ever since I decided also to do the same with any questions of conditioning and healing and all that. And I said, I'm not gonna think about this anymore. It's over. It seems that
I know, because I remember I remember this from last week. I remember your decision to go on. Sorry.
yeah, everything is, I'm under attack in the sense that anything that can go wrong, in the sense I have no work, my mother is attacking me, friends are whatever,
Yeah.
So it's like an invitation again to be pulled into this. Why is this happening? And to get the mind all clogged up with trying to find an answer. And I, I, I stop it again. But my question was, did you have such an experience when the artificial one was still in place?
No, it's not about an experience. It's the individual who has an experience.
Yeah,
So
when?
just going back to what you said, like, it's if someone decides, well, that's it, I've had enough now, I'm not going to pay any mind to thoughts, and I'm not going to do this, I'm not going, it's I'm not going to, or I'm going to. So it's still a sense that I have decided now that it's all a story, and that I'm not going to be pulled into it anymore. So then what will invariably happen is being pulled into it, because it's what's being suggested here is that there is no separate individual. So it's not that there's nothing you can do, it's that there's no one who can do or not do. So any decision to get pulled into to avoid drama, or not go into drama, or whatever the decision is a story. It's a story from that sense that you're an individual who can make a decision to do or not do. So that will always fall apart.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. But still, there is a deciding mind. There is a mind that.
In the story, there is a deciding mind. In the story, there is somebody who has a mind who can decide to do this or this. And what's being suggested is all of that is a story. It's only an appearance.
Still, last time we talked about this, and I told you it was very liberating not to have the mind full with all these concerns about why is this happening.
Yeah, and the response was, well, that's what's appearing to happen there,
and that it is liberating.
Yeah, but it's not. What the response wasn't that, okay, now you're there, or it was simply, if you remember, the response was simply, well, that's what's appearing to happen there. Then a sense of freedom was appearing. So the suggestion is there's only energy, aliveness, and nothing being everything. So that sense that there's liberation or freedom was what's appearing to happen. And then the sense there that there's people kind of angry at you or drawing you in, or these pressures from work, that's what's appearing to happen. So they are it as much as any sense of liberation, because they are just simply energy, and all there is energy. But the individual, the mind, would much prefer that you know, it's that sense, that lovely sense of liberation and freedom. And it's not when my whoever is having a go at me and is angry at me over this or whatever. So again, that's the sense that it's one, and it's one thing, but it's not the other.
Even if it is a false sense of choice, because now I have a sense of choice. The artificial, the dream has a sense of choice that I can either go into all these problems or not go into all these problems.
Yeah, that's just what's appearing to happen then. And it's a story. Doesn't mean anything.
Maybe it doesn't mean anything to you, but to the artificial one, it is very important to do this decision. Or is that just also,
Of
it doesn't
course,
really matter?
to the individual, it's an important, yes. And what's been suggested and illuminated is that the individual is the story.
So it doesn't really matter if I spend another week thinking about the conditioning and the why
Because
this was meant.
first of all, there's conditioning as a story, and another week is a story. So it would only matter in the story, because you're not there spending another week doing anything. That's what's being suggested. There is no other week. Like, there is no Zoom next week. There is nothing next week, because there is no next week. But in the story, there's a lived sense of there being next week. And then we can verify that by when you were on the Zoom and you could say, haha, now you said last week that there's no next week. And now I'm here next week talking to you. So in the appearance, in the story, it all appears very real, that they're moving and there's next week and da, 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 da. This is completely and utterly meaningless, because there is no meaning other than the meaning that the individual lays over what's appearing to happen. There's just simply aliveness, nothing being everything. It's completely beyond the mind, and that's what's yearned for already. That's what's being suggested.
So there is no difference whether the mind is preoccupied in solving all these conditioning problems or not.
Of course, there is no difference. It doesn't matter. It's just what appears to happen. It's only for the individual, the apparent individual, that there would be a difference. The difference would be that, okay, I'm not, the difference would be, I'm caught up in trying to understand my conditioning, and then now I'm not caught up in trying to understand my conditioning, and one is it and the other isn't, because it's that the individual is the dualism of thinking that one thing is better than the other, or one thing is it and the other isn't. And all of it is simply energy. So simply the thought of I'm caught up in my conditioning is simply energy appearing as a thought. I'm caught up in my conditioning, and all of the things that may go with that, like I said, the physiological state and the emotional and all of that, that's all just energy, and that's already simply nothing being everything.
So you actually say it's like a seesaw, like because I decided I'm not going to do this anymore, the opposite came up.
Well, yeah, what happened, what appeared to happen was you felt that you made a decision, and then you felt you would kind of reap the rewards of that decision, and that it was clear to see that, and it was very liberating. So what will invariably happen is that will collapse, and there'll be the opposite of that then, because everything is married to the other, to its opposite, because it's the same. It's just an appearance. They're two sides of the same coin, you could say, whatever. So if, for instance, if there was a sense that some people have a thing about clarity, and they're clear about what they're looking for, they're clear about what's being suggested here, and then, oh, that's it, it's wonderful, I was just in this lovely clarity for the last week, and then that will in the dualism, that will be followed by confusion. Of course, it has to be. And then they would think, the individual would think, oh darn, I was there, I had it, I was there, and now I don't. And then the narrative would be, oh, the me fell away last week and now the me is back. The me is back with a vengeance, and it's all a story because there is no me there's no me who fell away, and there's no me who came back. But that's all that is the individual, which is this play of, and thinks that the confusion isn't it and the clarity is. And when I say that, I just randomly picked those apparent opposites to illuminate that that's how the individual operates. It's one thing and it's not the other. And it's this continual pushing away of one and pulling in the other. And that's the way it is for the individual. And what's being suggested here is not some sort of suggestion that should in some way stop, or that there's someone who can do anything about that or anything like that. None of that. It's an illumination that goes to the heart, that goes to the root. And the root is that there is no individual. There is no you. There is no separation. So that's either that either resonates or it doesn't. Or
Right,
it resonates as it resonates.
It resonates until it gets through. It's not
Well,
the individual is not over. So, and also there is nothing that the individual can do because the individual does not exist.
well, it's not really so much that it goes till it gets through. It's more, it doesn't really get through. As in, it's not a suggestion to the individual. So I'm not speaking to an individual now. In the story, I am. In the story that would be the agreed upon reality, Kenneth is speaking to Katrina. You're in that country, I'm in this country. We've been speaking for whatever amount of minutes, and people could then describe the conversation, and there's all this story that could, layers upon layers upon. And what's been suggested is there's just aliveness, there's just speaking life Katrina Ian and life Kenneth Ian, and it's all one energy. And this, because all there is energy. And what's being suggested, what's being shared is not being spoken or directed to any individual, because I can't see an individual to direct it to. So there's no intention here that there's something that will get through to an individual, because the individual cannot hear it anyway. It's impossible, because the individual is just being an individual. So the individual is this overlay on what appears to happen, like this software. Some people describe it as software, additional software, you could say. And then that software is just doing its thing. That's all it's doing. So there's no sense here that would in any way, there's no interest in it even. There's absolutely no interest in it at all, because that's not where it resonates. It resonates with what you are, which is nothing being everything, which completely and utterly knows this already. This is totally and utterly known. It could not be more intimate to you. It's more intimate than intimacy. It's that immediate and known, because you are already that. It's so obvious and ordinary and already the case that it's just continually being overlooked.
Yes. So in order to there is no mental attitude or mental anything.
No.
Like even the sense of, okay, if not caring about conditioning brings the opposite, then my mental condition should be, I don't care about anything and I don't mind anything, and everything is just appearing what is appearing. Even that is not correct.
Well, it's not. It's just what appears to happen, because it's if you go back to even the start of that sentence, my mental conditioning, and what's been suggested is there's no me, there's no my, and so anything, it doesn't, like whatever the individual comes up with is just a story.
Yes, but there is a mind. I'm still in the loop.
I love that. Well, I think I'm probably going to quote that. Yes, but.
Yeah, make it the video.
Maybe I do that. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that could be the title of this morning's video. Yes, but.
Great, I'll be famous.
Oh, it'll definitely be. You'll be Very
the
famous.
mind is still functioning here, and the mind is trying to help out and find the correct mental attitude, and you're saying there is none. Anything that the mind comes up with
It's
is
just
the
mind.
loop.
Yeah, it's just mind. It doesn't matter. No, it's of no significance.
It's of
There's
no
no there. You're saying the correct mental attitude. So that's the correct mental attitude is an idea that comes from the individual. The individual feels there's a correct attitude that will therefore, if applied, will have some result, which will be, you know, I'll find what I'm looking for if I have the correct attitude.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find the result in all this. What if I'm just trying to find a better life in the loop? Because, you know,
And if trying to find a better life is what's happening, then that's what's happening. So that's what's appearing to happen. If someone feels that they're trying to find a better life or improve themselves or their life, that's what's appearing to happen. It doesn't mean anything. Getting fit, eating more healthily, doing all these are just things that appear to happen. They're not going. There's nowhere to get to, is what's being suggested.
so nothing really matters. Okay.
Of course not. No.
Like Freddie Mercury said. Okay.
Yeah. only in the story.
Okay. Okay.
It's the individual that would have the correct attitude or a bad attitude.
Mental, yeah, the mental. The mind tries
This
to help.
is completely, totally, and utterly beyond the mind. It's
Yeah.
completely, totally, and utterly beyond understanding and knowing. It's the individual who lives in knowing and understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, but
Hi, Kenneth.
yeah.
You talked about it all just being energy. I think you kind of went like this. Is that just another story, or is there anything that goes with that? Like, are we likely to hear the message more if we're resonating at the same frequency or anything like that?
No, that's just another story as well. So it's there's a pointing towards that which can't be spoken, which can't be described, which could not be more ordinary and obvious and already the case, and that everything is nothing and nothing is everything. So that's what I mean by energy. So there's just what's appearing to happen. So that now there's hands moving, there's a computer screen, there's sound, there's sitting on a chair, so on. For the individual, there's a lived sense that I'm hearing the sound, I'm looking at the computer screen, I'm sitting on the chair, and so on, so on, so on. And this suggestion, it's only a suggestion. That's all. It's just, it can only ever be a suggestion. That's all it is. And it's
no, I know all this. I know all this stuff. It's more like I just wanted to know that I just wanted to be. I'm a bit pedantic. Like this saying it's all energy is actually a story as well, isn't it?
Well, everything is just an expression, is just energy. So if you want to stay with the words and the concepts, you can just stay with it on that, and you can semantically break down everything and say that's a story. That's fine. It's a suggestion that's energetic. That's heard as it's heard.
Oh, okay. But what do you mean? What do you mean when you say it?
I think I just explained it there. But you said then, but I know all of that, so then it doesn't really.
I thought you were sort of like I know about the sense of me is what I meant when I said that I get it. But I don't understand why you'd say it's energy.
Okay, then that's what's happening. You don't understand why the words here would be used that say it's energy. That's what's appearing to happen there then.
Yeah, that's okay. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Laura.
Hey, hey, Kenneth. I like your jacket.
Oh, thanks. It's cold here.
What? What is it?
It's cold here.
Oh,
Yeah,
winter.
winter has arrived.
Yeah, I just don't have any thing really to say or ask. It's just like I was just like this utter relaxation happening here since I was listening to this conversation you just had. Yeah,
Hmm,
yeah,
that's what's happening then.
yes. Hmm. Hmm. And it's very interesting because I've never observed that you have something like the urge to talk about something personal, like it's as if everything is how it is, like and that there is nothing going on for you that wants to change anything or any resistance to what's going on, whatever it is. That's quite, for me, very interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's just that it's completely impersonal. What's being suggested is totally and utterly impersonal. So
Yeah.
anything personal that's said, it doesn't. It's very there's very very little
Yeah.
that could be classified as personal that's shared over and anyone who's listening for the last number of years would recognize that.
Mhm.
And even the small bit of information that's given, it's so interesting, it can come back as something else. And it's the apparent individual just really thirsts for information.
Yes.
And anything that's said, then it's turned into something then.
Mhm.
At the very the very nature of what's being said is totally and utterly impersonal.
Mhm.
You know, and it's just occasionally something is said, maybe, whatever, and that's just what's
Yeah.
happening. It's not like obviously not like a deliberate thing to not say anything, but energetically it just feels, no, it's
Yeah.
totally impersonal. And because what's yearned for by the individual is completely, totally and utterly impersonal. Obviously it is, because they, as an individual, they're living in the personal, the
Yes.
sense of separateness, and then it's all information processing that feeds that model continually.
Yeah.
That's all. And actually the suggestion then is what's being yearned for, whilst there is that lived reality of me and the world out there, is just for there to be what's appearing to happen. That's what's yearned for, which is totally and utterly impersonal. It's just energy just appearing as it appears. It's gorgeous. That's what everyone is. That's what's actually being yearned for, is the impersonal. And so therefore,
Yeah, and it tries to, like, through it's like an addiction of the person somehow
complete addiction. Yeah.
to get nourished. So
Completely. Yeah, it could get fed. Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah.
why you could sometimes see it. It could be more obvious in people who are, say, totally addicted to drama. Like they're just, everything about them is total drama, drama, drama. And so therefore the most kind of neutral, kind of banal thing could happen, and they'd somehow kind of pull out of it somehow that they're offended by something someone did or didn't do, or
Yes.
and then you can see just the whole neurotic shit show of it.
Yes. Yes.
Because you seem to be kind of one step back, and you're kind of looking at it going, well, that whole thing is just so empty. Like they're just continually pulling meaning where there's no meaning, or I don't know, like turn on a show like the Real Housewives of wherever, you know,
Mm.
and just watch it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and it's just, oh my God, it's just completely, it's so obviously just empty. It's totally empty. But for the ladies in the show, it's not empty. It's very real, and it's very important that this person actually rejected their invitation to the party by not responding. Like, I mean, how dare they? I mean, oh my God, OMG. I mean,
Yeah.
hello, did you not? So I mean, you can see then in the drama, it's very real. Then it's not drama. It's not drama. It's real stuff that's really important. So that's essentially just a reflection of that's the way the individual is.
Yeah.
And to also to I mean, that's just one example of it being more extreme, but in a general sense, that you could also appear as a story of someone who's not into drama at all, and doesn't like the spotlight, and doesn't whatever, but it's just an attempt to illuminate that there can't be really but you get a sense of what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
totally
totally.
impersonal. Yeah, it's totally impersonal.
Yeah.
It's of course it is, because it's nothing. It's and that the individual, that what's happening when you feel separate is that there's a yearning for that, and there's a total fear of that. It's the biggest fear.
Yeah.
Of,
I know that fear for
the
myself.
fear of your absence, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that from my own experience, that fear. Yeah. It's always like that kind of feeling of slightly on the edge. Yeah, but doesn't matter.
But it's just it's very simple. What was shared in the last hour or 50 minutes, because Kenneth was late, is very, very simple and ordinary and obvious. It's just that there's simply aliveness. There's simply whatever is appearing to happen, and any sense that it's happening to you is a story. There's no you, and there's no other individual, only in the story. And that's either seen or not seen. It's very, 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 very obvious. It's too obvious, and that's how it appears to hide, because it's already the case. The individual lives in complex and around the next corner. Hi, Katrina.
Sorry to come back, but you said...
I was hoping you'd come back in, but yes, but...
You talked about feeding the drama, feeding this. So, but any effort not to feed it?
It's just a story as well, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Because it would be any effort not to feed it. So there's the individual is the story. So if the individual then feels that they are there, that they cannot feed the drama, that's just within the story of them being there. It's the same as the individual. When they hear this, the individual can't hear this anyway, it doesn't matter, but what's heard is that, oh, so there's nothing I can do, and that's not what's been said. It's what's been said is there is no individual you to do or not do, but the individual will try to either do some things or not do other things to drop the sense of being an individual. So the individual doing or not doing to try and drop not being an individual is like leaning down and trying to pull yourself off the ground by grabbing your ankles and pulling really hard on your ankles in an effort to pull yourself off the ground. It's exactly that. That's what it is.
So whether I know I'm feeding the artificial, I decide to keep on feeding it or not to keep on
Well,
feeding.
the feeding is just a
all this
story.
is-
The feeding is
yeah.
just a story. That's
Right.
just a description of how it appears to be. It doesn't matter. If there was a sense of being an individual who I'm no longer feeding the sense of being an individual, that's still being an individual. That's what I was at the end of that description. I was trying to describe how some people might be not into drama at all and not into any of that, but they could still there'd still be a sense of separation.
Okay.
So there's either a sense of separation or there isn't. And it's not right or wrong. It's not that if you don't feel like an individual, it's somehow better, or, you know, if you feel like an individual, that's what's appearing to happen. And all that can be done is a sharing and a reporting to how, like, so all that can be done for the individual really is to say yes, 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 but, like, that's it. There'd be no sense in saying, oh yes, this, I agree with you, or this is wonderful and blah blah blah. I mean, what's that about? That would be in no way better.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just what's appearing to happen. Thanks, guys. That was really lovely.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Thanks, guys. See you soon. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.